By definition, an antenna is a metal whip designed to receive and transmit radio signals within a given area.
It's BS in the Morning on KSLQ and Westplex 107.1.
You know, at first I heard his voice, I didn't like him, and now I really like that voice. He has that, almost like that women's voice, what we call whiskey and cigarettes, you know what I'm saying? Hold on a minute, I got to turn you back on. Hold on, I forgot to turn you on. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's what she said.
No, you know what she said?
What?
In a deep voice, she said,
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
That's what she said. No.
Dude, I
Can you believe he said that?
Yes, I do. Because, don't even get me started, Brad. It'd be very controversial at best, and I don't want to do that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Should we tell the story about Shelley and the Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday?
What was wrong with the Chamber of Commerce meeting?
Never mind. We won't tell the story. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
Yesterday?
Yes.
I don't know what... Did something significant happen? It was a lovely meeting.
Okay, I can tell you're deflecting on this one. We won't go any further. We'll just leave that one alone.
I don't know what happened, Brad. I can't remember.
Location?
Oh, I went to the wrong place.
Shelley
I'm such an idiot.
Shelley goes to the wrong.
He's like, well, I'm outside the door, and I'm like,
yeah. She says,
Brad, I'm standing right here.
I'm outside waiting for her. Actually, I'm out. I'm doing my new thing. You laugh at me about this, but
I didn't laugh at you. I think it's lovely.
I open the door. That's my new. I'm the doorman. I'm the doorman.
He's the doorman.
That's going to be my new thing. That's going to be one of my New Year's resolutions.
But I am not the chambermaid.
Today, you're the chambermaid. Today is, let's say today's January 1st, even though it's March 1st. I'm starting over again in a couple different things. I'm back on my diet after I'm so disgusted with myself, how much weight I've gained. Just, God. Some people have addictions to cocaine, to phenobarbital, to, meth, to, whatever. To marijuana. My addiction is just... See, and the crazy thing about it is, I read an article years ago about a guy who talking about the various addictions, and he said the worst thing is losing weight. Because he says you can go without drinking, you can go without smoking, you can go without taking drugs. You don't need those to sustain life, but you can't stop eating. You have to eat. Otherwise, you'll die. You won't get any nutrition. You'll just, literally start to somewhat shrivel up and die. They talk about, you can live for so many days without food, but you can't live without so many days without water. But after a certain point in life where you have no nutrition coming in, you die because your system just shuts down because it doesn't have the nutrients it needs to sustain itself. So you have to eat. And my situation has always been, quite honestly, if I'm on one of my crazy fast food diets, I lose weight because I'm very disciplined, extremely disciplined. But when I get off one of my diets, I'm not so disciplined. And the problem with that is that when I'm losing weight, I'm eating nothing but fast food in one way, shape.
You lost like 50 pounds at one time, didn't you?
I lost 100 pounds. Actually, I've lost more than that. I lost 120 pounds back in the day. I went from...
I'm talking about now.
I think I lost like 38 or something like that. That was the fast food me diet. I think that was fast food me. That was my most successful one where I, once again, very disciplined, And the problem is when I started eating more than fast food, that's when I gained weight. And people go like, how's that possible? And I go, trust me, it's the way it is. And they go, well, fast food, if you eat fast food. And the crazy thing is, how many times have I have to explain this to people? It's all about portion control. Fast food is extremely portion controlled. That's how they make money. When you buy, if you were to go to McDonald's and buy 50 hamburgers and just take, the bun off and just take the patty of meat and put it on a very, very accurate scale, I would bet you that each of those patties are within probably 1/10 of an ounce of each other. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so expert
see that.
They're so expert at portion control. Now the French fries is a different deal because sometimes you get a generous scoop, sometimes you get a not so generous scoop, sometimes you get a...
but it was much better when it was there was lard in the grease.
Yeah, well, the McDonald's, McDonald's used to be my favorite French fries. Not anymore.
I know.
Because
they're just like average fries.
Yeah, thanks to the
Hindus. They
Hindus.
used to be special.
Thanks to the Hindus, if you know that whole story. I'm not making fun of the Hindus, but apparently McDonald's put
no.
They put like beef tallow or something like that in the frying oil, and because the Hindus can't eat cows. I think that's with Hindus, and they can't eat cows.
Sacred to them.
Right. So when they found out that the French fries essentially had little pieces of I don't see little pieces, but essentially they were made in the gravy, you want to call it, the gravy of cows, which gravy essentially that's what gravy is, isn't it? Gravy is like the stuff left over from like frying meat. Isn't that what gravy technically is? I don't like gravy. I hate gravy.
You don't like biscuits and gravy?
No, yuck. I take the biscuits any day.
That answers so much. I don't know if we can still be friends.
Keep the gravy. I'll just take the biscuits. The biscuits are where it's at. See, that's my other problem. I love bread. God, I love bread. Bagels. I eat a bagel almost every day. You know that? Did I ever tell you that? Almost every day. I eat a bagel. And what's funny, can I tell you?
So it's a food group to you.
Can I tell you what's funny about this?
What?
Typically, I go to a Schnucks in a non-Jewish neighborhood, okay?
Yes.
And I can go over to where the bagels are, and every day there will be the same number of bagels there because I'm the only guy that buys them. I could take my camera and every day and I could take a picture of, let's say I get off the air at like 8:00, which sometimes I do, and I'll drive over to the Schnucks, okay? I'll take a picture of the bagel containers, and there will be literally two everything bagels, which sometimes I'll eat. There will be one sesame seed bagel and one poppy seed bagel. And if I don't buy one of those bagels, I could go back there. I could go there at 8:00 in the morning. I could go back there at 8:00 at night, and the same number of bagels are there. Nobody buys any bagels. Now, you go to some of the Schnucks in the Jewish neighborhoods, and
you can't keep them on the shelf.
They can't keep them on the shelf. Although, I have to be honest with you, I don't know. I'm going to say something I hope doesn't offend people. I hope doesn't make the Schnucks people mad. Are the bagels done in-house or are they done at their big bakery? Do you know? For Schnucks?
I don't know.
Okay. The bagels, occasionally I'll go to...
You mean the kosher bagels?
No, just bagels. I mean, they have... Like, for example, did you know that, like, if you go to QT, do you know the donuts are all made in Kansas City? Did you know this?
I did not know that.
Yes, they're all made in Kansas City. All the donuts are made in Kansas City.
Really?
Yes, they're all made in Kansas City. As a matter of fact, how I know that, you know what the bizarre story about that is? When I went to get my COVID shots, and I went to Raytown, Missouri, which is south of Kansas City.
Yes, Brad.
I passed this huge, monstrous QT building. And I said something when I got there, oh, that's the commissary. I go, really? Yeah, that's their distribution center, and that's where their bakery is. I go, really? I go, yeah, that's where they make the because it's centrally located, that's where they make the donuts for almost all the Missouri Quick Trips, all the Kansas Quick Trips, all the Oklahoma Quick Trips. I don't know if there are Quick Trips up in Iowa, but I believe there's in Nebraska. That's where they make the donuts for all the Quick Trips in the.
So QT makes their own donuts?
Oh yeah. They're made in Kansas City. And see, the problem is when we get them here in St. Louis, figure that they load them on trucks and they hit the stores at like wee hours in the morning, which means they're made like probably in the afternoon. So they bake the donuts in the afternoon, and then they stick them on little containers, and then they put them in the trucks, and the trucks drive out of Kansas City, and the trucks hit St. Louis at like 2:00 in the morning. So, the donuts at that point in time are, they're already, by the time they hit the Quick Trip, if you get them like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, the donuts are already like 12 hours old. And by the time you eat them at noon, they're almost 24 hours old. Nothing bad about the QT donuts.
They're delicious.
I like.
And I actually always wondered where they came from.
Kansas
City.
City.
Who was white labeling their donuts?
Because you know how? And
I had no idea that QT made their own.
First off, when I was in Raytown, I found that out. But what's interesting is if the weather gets bad, no donuts.
Huh?
Because the tractor trailers can't make it across the state.
Yeah. I'll be darned.
So it happened,
And
what, a
Marduks.
month ago we had like that snow. By the way, this weather is so weird, isn't it? I mean, like...
It is.
It's like...
But we're so close to spring.
Well...
Yesterday was a spring day.
Hold
I don't
on.
care what you say.
Think about today's date. You know what they say about today's date?
In like a lion, out like a lamb? Or is it in like a lamb, out like a lion? I think
Yes.
it's in like a lion.
Well, it's whichever it is. In other words, if it's a nice day,
I have to look.
that's the lamb. So today we're having, I think it's supposed to be like 58 today or something like that. Isn't it what that Jennifer said? Let me look at it real quick. What
did you just say, please?
I said, isn't that what Jennifer said? Didn't she say it was going to be high of 58 today? I thought that's what she said last.
Oh, I didn't. I wasn't listening to her.
Less forecast.
I was listening to you.
65. 65. So we're coming in like a lamb, and we're supposed to go out like a lion. So have to wait and see about that. Okay, we have to take a break. We're way behind. It's all your fault again. I swear.
This one might be my fault.
You keep screwing things up. But Shelley, there's a joke about that because if I say Billie Jean, it's all my fault, then Shelley gets all kerfuffled, right?
Yes.
6:51.
It is BS.Show 6:57. We are way off track here as far as the time concerned. We only have a short break here. So, Shelley, don't say anything because I know you just get, talking and we can't get you stopped.
It's about right.
Now she won't start. Okay. A serious note. Apparently, a really bad fire going on in O'Fallon right now behind Bill's Service Center, if you know where that's at. Matter of fact, because of that, they have closed Fort Zumwalt North Middle School today, canceled classes. So if your kids go to Fort Zumwalt North Middle, not the high school, but the middle, Fort Zumwalt North Middle School, they've canceled school today because of this fire in O'Fallon. Man, that must be one hell of a fire if it's close to the school and they close school. Anyway, is that our friends at Central County, or which fire district would that be? Is that Central County?
Which one was it at? O'Fallon's got their own.
That's right. O'Fallon has their own fire department. That's right. But still, there's probably mutual aid if it's like a huge fire. The fire
There's
department.
always mutual aid.
The fire departments.
No matter where you're at.
Right. Well, not necessarily. In the St. Louis area, there's mutual aid, but in other areas, there's not. It's sort of weird. Did you know that? In some parts of the country, they don't have that kind of reciprocal agreement. If you know what we're talking about, mutual aid is if like
reciprocity.
Right. Well, if a fire like a Wentzville, like let's say there's a big fire in Wentzville, Chief Schneider would call in another fire department to help them out. Now, a lot of times, what they do is they go, and I know this from my police dispatching days. I don't know if it's still the same way, but what they do is they would have the equipment from like a neighboring fire district go and hang out at their fire station. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, if they did get, like, let's say there's a big fire in Wentzville and almost all the fire equipment in Wentzville is responding to the fire, they would have mutual aid. They would have another department, like the O'Fallon department, would go and they would send like a pumper over to one of the O'Fallon or one of the Wentzville houses to essentially sit there in case they were needed for a fire in Wentzville. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, the city used to do that all the time because I remember when my police dispatcher days, I don't know if they still do it anymore, they called it a move up. What they would do is they would have fire equipment, from one station go to another station to cover that station because all the equipment at that station was fighting a huge fire. Matter of fact, this for probably working at the airport, that there's a huge mutual aid agreement at the airport that when there's like a catastrophic, if they're like did they practice that when you were working at the airport? The catastrophic response, you know what I'm talking about, where they would have
the fire department.
Yeah, not the fire department. The fire departments are the departments. You know what? I tell you what. I just looked at the clock. We got it. We'll pick this up next hour. Say it's 6:59, Shelley.
It's 6:59, Shelley.
It is BS.Show 7:06. The nerd in me likes to talk about stuff like this, but what I was asking you before we left the air, and as the NAS piano plays behind me, oh, yes. That's me playing the piano, by the way. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Oh, my God. I'm just so good at piano. Anyway, when you worked at the airport, didn't they have the staging drills where the fire departments for all the adjoining areas used to come in out at the airport? You know what I'm talking about?
I believe they did.
Okay. Because
when I was there, the National Guard was there as well.
Yeah, the National Guard's gone. God, that's so...
It is.
All the things at Lambert that used to be good about the airport. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
National Guard was there. Oh, man. I don't know. What's so frustrating is...
Now it's like not there, like at all.
I know. They
like the building's gone.
I know. I mean, and you
The
know what?
tower's gone. The building's gone.
You know what else? You know what else made me sad the other day?
What's that?
I'm driving in St. Charles on 94, First Capital, and I noticed that one of my favorite places when I used to go to Lindenwood, one of my favorite places to eat is gone. They tore the building down.
What's that?
The Dairy Queen. The Dairy Queen right there.
On 5th Street?
No, on 94, First Capital. Couple doors up from the old Jim Ternary. You know where Jim Ternary Chevrolet used to be, where the water tower is.
Yep.
Maybe 1,000 feet down from the water tower.
I remember that Dairy Queen.
Gone. Now, you know what the bizarre thing of it?
What is it now? Something for Lindenwood?
No, I just saw it. They just tore it down. It was just a pile of rubble. In other words, they just recently, probably the day before, knocked it down, and the backhoes were in there picking up all the chunks of concrete, dumping them into the dump trucks to take away. The bizarre part of that was there was a house back there behind the Dairy Queen. Somebody lived back there. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know if maybe it was at one point in time the guy that owned the Dairy Queen, hey, I'll just build a house behind Dairy Queen. I'll just walk to work. He comes out his front door and walks across the parking lot and goes in the back door of the Dairy Queen. It was a nice house. Obviously you can't get back there anymore. And that's where for a long time the St. Charles Chamber of Commerce was there. They took over I can't remember what it was. It might have been a fish place, some kind of a fish place there on First Capital. That was where you remember that? St. Charles, and I was told that the reason that they sold the building was somebody
Smell
came
like fish.
No, somebody came along and said, "Hey," the chiropractors came along and said, "Hey, we want that building." It's not for sale. Hey, we'll pay you X, and it was like, "Okay, we'll sell it."
Everybody has a price.
Exactly. If somebody says, "I like your house and I want to buy it," you go, "Oh, sorry, it's not for sale." Well, what's it worth? But $250,000. I'll give you $1 million for it. Hey, guess what? I'm moving. See you. Bye.
Yeah, Mom.
Right.
I'm moving in.
I'm just reading this article. Reading this story about
to launch.
Right. I'm reading this story about how we have crime problems here. Portland, talking about this is one of the places where we had the big riots and stuff like that.
I was going to say that was one of the places that really got messed up.
Oh my God. They're talking about. There's a graph. I'm reading this article. It shows that Portland crime year over year in 2020. Crime was up 1% over 2019. In 2021, crime was up 8% over 2020. And in 2022, crime is up 9% over 2021. So in other words, it's just getting crazy. And to the point where so many people are moving out of downtown Portland. Portland used to have sort of like that, I don't want to call it a hippie vibe, but it's sort of a cultural town kind of, they used to call it, I can't remember, there's the term they called it. And once again, it's this crazy thing where the people who are running the city, the mayor and the legislators, the aldermen, whatever they have, oh, we don't want those police. It's like in the city of St. Louis. The latest controversy is the city of St. Louis. They're trying to get the police a 4-year contract. Maybe I can't remember. I have to look at this again.
Why would they do that?
No. They I think they had a 4-year contract, but the aldermen are only going to give them a 1-year contract. Of course, the aldermen are going to double in the city of St. Louis. You know this story. The aldermen are going to double their pay. They're going from like $35,000 a year to $70,000 a year. Bang, just like that.
See, that kind of stuff makes people wonder and doubt them.
Well, exactly. I mean, how many times
the representatives?
How many people who are working like a regular job, non-government job, can say, "Hey, 1 year my salary doubled"? Tell me how many people that would be. Can you tell me anybody who's ever said to you, "Hey, Shelley, I've got a great job. This year my salary doubled"? Has that ever happened to you? Ever happened to anybody that their salary's doubled in a year? Now, if they're maybe a salesperson, if they're going out and they're hustling, I get that. But we're talking about like a salary person or hourly person. One day you're making $20 an hour. The next day you're making $40 an hour.
Well, that has happened to me, actually.
The smartest woman in the world is saying, and this is interesting, she's saying the reason they're doing is they're cutting the number of aldermen in half, so the aldermen who are remaining are getting their pay doubled. I think that's wrong. Cut the aldermen in half, save the money. If you got half, think about that. If when Elon Musk is laying off people at Twitter, he's not doubling the salary of the people that are left, is he? No. That's goofy. That's like saying, you know what?
I think it's fair if that in fact is what's happening. I think it's fair.
That they double their salary?
Well, if they're taking the people away.
But How do you cut expenses? That's like saying if you said, well, we've got 5 credit cards that have $1,000 balance, and we're going to, like we have 6 credit cards that have $1,000 balance on it. We're going to cut down.
Those were the days.
We're going to cut down to 3 credit cards with $2,000 balance. Aren't you still at the same spot? You still $6,000 in the hole, right? There's stuff I just don't understand. Okay, Mike.
What'd you just say?
I said there's stuff I just don't understand. Mike Otten sent me.
Well, there's a lot of stuff I don't understand, and most of it comes out of your mouth.
Whoa. Listen to Shelley. Mike Otten sent me this the other day, and we talked about this basically. This is where legislation runs amok. There's a state rep in Florida who's proposed a bill outlawing dogs sticking their heads out of car windows while driving.
Good. And get them off your lap, but between you and the steering wheel.
But that's
ridiculous.
That shouldn't be a law. That should be self-evident. That should be, stupid. That should be common knowledge.
You have to make a law.
Well, the dogs with their heads out the windows. I don't know. To me, that's like, first off, you're talking to Brad, the non-pet guy. To me, it's like, it sometimes bothers me that some people have so much affection or whatever you want to call it to their pets and don't care about the world around them. I just say that. And I know people.
That's because people are mean. Dogs aren't mean.
Well, yes, they are.
Well, they can be if they're treated like that.
Don't tell the postman the dogs aren't mean, right? The mailbox.
My uncle was a postman for pretty much his entire life after he got out of the service.
Did he get bit?
I'm sorry?
Did he get bit by dogs?
Yeah, because he was actually in downtown St. Louis.
And he got bit by dogs.
He never had a dog.
No,
which is funny
as
because he lived in
No. As
the city.
As a postman, remember the postmen are always afraid of getting bit by the dogs. That's what I'm saying. Did he get bit by dogs? Not his dog, but somebody else's dog where he's delivering mail to.
I don't know. I never asked him.
Well, thanks for bringing that up about postmen getting bit by dogs. You bring up your uncle, and you have no idea if you ever got bit by a dog.
Well, he wasn't supposed to be a focal point. It was supposed to be just something that I said.
Thanks for that little bit of wisdom. Okay. Have you been...
Bite me, Brad.
Have you been watching... I know you're not. Have you been watching any of the Murdaugh trial?
No, but who told me that? God. Somebody told me that I've got that trial on and can't pull myself away.
It is unbelievable. Today they're supposed to go to this, keep in mind, this poor guy, he's only got a 1,700 acre hunting lodge. Okay, only a 1,700 acre lodge. Okay, poor guy. I feel sorry for those people that don't, if you have less than 1,000 acres for your hunting lodge, you're just white trash. That's all there is to it. You're just like low class. Everybody who's anybody has at least 1,000 acre hunting lodge. 1,700 acres. Anyway, the jury's going to his place today. The bizarre part of this was yesterday, the last couple of days, the prosecution has been going through this forensic thing. And if you like any of the, the CSI series, the Las Vegas, and all the different Miami versions of that, you'll love this trial because was it yesterday or was it Monday where the prosecutor is showing how they think that, allegedly Murdaugh killed his son, stood over him with a shotgun. And it's like, they're holding guns to each other's heads. And I'm going like, okay, this bothers me because what's the number one rule in firearm safety?
You don't have it in your hand unless you're ready to use it.
Well, number one, there's like the number 4, like the top 4 things, or one of them is don't ever point at anything you're willing to kill or destroy. Number 2 is don't ever point a gun at anybody unless, your life is being threatened. You don't just go pointing guns around. And, it's like, you watch this, it's like, this is creepy. There's a guy, they showed supposedly the son the debate was he shot from the front or shot from the back, and the defense says he was shot one way because the defense says that because of the trajectory of the blast from the shotgun, the shooter had to be between 5'2" and 5'4", which would probably be a woman. And the reason they're bringing this up is because this Alex Murdaugh guy is 6'4". So they're essentially saying, well, he couldn't have shot it because he's too tall. The trajectory would have gone, I'm going, okay, whatever. And you know what's interesting about this whole thing is if you got money, I don't know how the guy's paying his attorneys because he's like supposedly now broke and
maybe he owns a car wash.
What? He owns a car wash?
Maybe he owns a car wash.
Why did that come up?
Because they evidently are very lucrative. Otherwise, we wouldn't have one every 2 miles.
St. Charles County, pretty soon there will be more car washes than Walgreens, right?
Yes.
More car washes than Walgreens. And
I mean, seriously, they're bringing down beautiful buildings
that
had potential.
That place there on Mid Rivers Mall Drive that used to be I can't remember.
Llewellyn's, which used to be El Grande.
Yeah, it was there for a long. It was a Mexican place for a long time. Gone. They flattened that one.
My gosh, yes.
The bank behind off of Jungerman between 364 and Old Highway 94, that beautiful bank building, that's gone. They flattened that one.
Yeah, and that was a really nice
It was
building.
A beautiful bank building. It
really was.
Gone, flattened.
I used to bank there for my daddy.
You know exactly which one I'm talking about, right? It was a beautiful.
I absolutely do.
Had a split level, had the drive-throughs on the bottom level. It was a really cool bank. Gone. They tore it down, putting a car wash in there. It's like, we need another car wash. Randy Bluestone must be rotating in his grave because when he first started his first car wash, Country Club Car Wash there at 94 in Zumble, and that's how I met him. His wife introduced me because he was frustrated because at the time, nobody in St. Charles County would get their car washed. We all drove around with mud hanging off our pickup trucks, Oh, hey. And,
I remember that.
Gun racks in the back, what I'm saying? Anyway, okay. Moving on to something else. You don't have anything to talk about this morning? Chamber meeting yesterday. We'll talk about this again. I don't want to embarrass Shelley, but
let's just go ahead and talk about it.
I go to the chamber meeting, and my new thing is, can I tell the story while I get myself in trouble?
You'll probably get yourself in trouble, but when does that pop at you?
By the way, today is a new day. Today is March 1st. I'm pretending this is January 1st. I've made a bunch of resolutions that start today because so far, the first 2 months of this year have not been good for me for a number of different reasons. So I'm starting over. Today's March 1st. Today's like New Year's Eve. I've got, a New Year's Day.
For example, I'm still with him.
Yeah, right. Well, I tried to get rid of you, but I couldn't quite lose you. Oh, anyway.
I know. Isn't that the darndest thing?
So I've decided that what my new role is going to be, I'm going to be the greeter. I'm going to show up for events, and I'm going to hold the door open. Now, I have to tell you, when I was doing these yesterday at the O'Fallon Chamber of Commerce meeting at the Christie Banquet Center right there on Veterans Memorial Parkway, between Kay and Brian, one lady,
which I thought was at the Y.
Shelley shows
they're
up.
the sponsors.
Shelley shows up at the Y. So
I did show up at the Y.
I'm opening the door and greeting people. I'm just opening the door as people walk up to the door. I'm smiling and I say, "Hey, good morning and welcome," because it was still morning. Well, it wasn't noon yet. It was like I started at 11:15 to do this. I did this till about 10 minutes to noon. And one lady walked by me as I opened up the door, and she looked at me and she smiled and she says, "And here I thought chivalry was dead." I thought to myself, wow, I take that as a compliment. And then I ran into a lady who her family used to advertise with us. And I think I told you about this yesterday, the Bowman family who bought into this it was like a website for brides to be. And they did so well with it. They bought the entire company. They were a franchise and they bought the entire company because they were doing so well with it. And I said to her, how's business? How's the wedding business? She says, she had to shut it down. I go, well, you were doing really well. She looked at me and she says, COVID. And I thought to myself, I never thought of that. Because remember, nobody got married for like 2 years. Remember? I mean, people got married, but they didn't have the big old monster weddings, and people canceled their weddings. The big weddings were all canceled, because of the fact that you couldn't rent a hall anywhere. You couldn't get a church or anything like that, so all the big weddings were canceled. If you did have a wedding, you got married like by Justice of the Peace or Reverend Brad or something like that. Nobody had big weddings. And And I go, God, that's so sad. She goes, yeah. And her, I think 2 sisters and her brother all worked in this company. And, Jeremy Bowman, great guy. And she says it just went under. The whole business just tanked. Now, think about that. We've talked about this before, not recently. The COVID killed some businesses and just totally made other businesses explode. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, some businesses just lost their tail end, and other businesses just got so much business they couldn't, like, for example, anybody who was doing any kind of handyman work, you couldn't find a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, right around now. Well, not necessarily right around now, but probably that would have been right around now. It would have been 21. So, yeah, you couldn't find a handyman. You couldn't find a plumber.
And they were like $50, $60 an hour.
That's a cheap one.
Per man hour.
Who were you getting those guys? I mean, that's the cheap plumbers. Is that
No, these weren't plumbers.
Who were they?
These were handymen.
Oh, yeah, just general handyman. Okay.
Yes.
And anyway, her business went under.
Not just.
Well, anyway, I'm greeting people at the front door, and Shelly's supposed to be there at 11:30, and 11:35 goes by, 11:40, 11:45 goes by. I said, Shelly, where are you? Oh, I'm turning in right now. I'm looking. I'm standing in front of the building. I'm going, I don't see anybody turning in, and I go, where are you going? She goes, I'm parking in back of the building. Okay. 5 minutes later, no Shelly. And I call her. I go, where are you? And she goes, I'm in back of the building. And I go, what building are you at? She says, isn't this at the YMCA? I go, no, Shelly, it's at the Christie Banquet Center. Oh, I'm in the wrong place.
Can you believe that? You were super worried about me because of my little...
Because you said No, because, okay, first off, can I tell this story?
Sure.
Shelly sends me, if you know the whole story, Shelly had an accident over the weekend where she fell down in a bathroom. I say you passed out, but you say you fell asleep. Okay, whatever.
I rammed my head in the tile wall.
Okay, and Monday you went to the doctor. We ended the show early because you went to the doctor. Yesterday you sent me a picture of the side of your head, like side of your face, and it didn't look pretty. Not that I'm saying you're ugly, but
are you saying I'm ugly?
No, I'm saying that normally
I'm not pretty?
No, I'm saying normally your face is not yellow and green and black. You know what I'm saying? Because
yes, I do, Brad.
That's the picture you sent me of your face looking like you just met Mike Tyson. It didn't go well for you. You know what I'm saying?
I will say though, the white cloud silver lining is that the side of my face that's a little poofy.
Yes.
It doesn't have as many wrinkles.
Okay, so she goes to the doctor on. I'm not going to touch that.
It's a big deal, Brad.
I'm not touching that line. There's a line I could use, but I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that one. Okay. So anyway, we end the show early on Monday because I said, Shelly, you need to go to the doctor. You went to saw Dr. Weichert, who is the world's best doctor, at 10:30, and he says, go here, go here, go here. And then you had a CT scan and all sorts of crazy stuff.
I did. I had a CT scan.
Right.
I had an MRI.
Right.
I had an X-ray.
So once again, that's Monday. Yesterday, I'm standing out in front of the Chamber of Commerce. She says she's late for the meeting. She tells me she just turned in the parking lot. I don't see her. 5 minutes later, she's still not there. I'm standing in front of the building, and I call because I'm going like, where are you? Are you okay? You could hear the concern in my voice, correct?
Yes.
And then she says, I'm at the wrong place. I'm going, you're what? What?
I'm such a
goober. The upside was, since you were late for the meeting and the meeting already started, you got to sit at the big girls' table, didn't you?
I did.
You got to sit.
I chose that table.
You got to sit with the big girls who are all, and once again, we use this term, and when we say this, the women who we call this are not offended by this. They like it. At least they used to. They still like it. The chamber chicks. That's what we call the ladies who run the O'Fallon Chamber. And we don't call them that. They call them, at least they used to. They used to call themselves the chamber chicks, right?
Yes.
So it was not, you can't say certain things. You can't call a woman a chick or a broad or anything like that anymore because, you're being sexual or whatever. But it's like they call themselves the chamber chicks. So Shelly's late for the meeting. The meeting's already going on. So the chamber chick says, hey, Shelly, come and sit with us. And you got to sit at the big girls table, right?
I did.
And it was fun because
It was fun.
because you were talking with the chamber chicks and they were telling you all the inside scoop and they were telling you all the things going on in the chamber and they were telling you about how so and so's mad at so and so and how so and so won't go do business with so and so because so and so said something about so and so, right?
They didn't say that.
I'm kidding.
You better be kidding, because I don't know where you would have gotten that.
Well, the chamber chicks called me and they say, "Oh, we had so much fun with Shelley. We told her all the scoop. We told her all the chamber scoop.
That's not how they roll, Brad.
We told them which
You need to stop.
which husband and wife are the swingers in the chambers, and we told them."
Oh, look, 727. Make it happen, Brad.
I can't go any farther. I can't keep talking.
No.
Okay, it's 7:27.
Thank you.
That's Shelley's motto. I ain't worried about it, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
BS.Show 7:32 Wednesday morning, March 1st. We're going out. We're going in like a lamb, and unfortunately, they claim we're going out like a lion. At least that's what the
That's not
stupid
the way
saying
it
is.
is. In like a lion, out like a lamb.
But you flip it back around. It goes both ways. If you're in like a lion, in other words, if you had a terrible day today, that means we'd have a nice end of the month. But if it's a nice day, the lamb, then we have a terrible end of the month. It goes both ways.
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
I don't think it works like that.
Okay, smartest woman in the world. Hopefully she's listening. You heard what Shelley just said. Is Brad right where the saying goes both ways, or is Shelley right where the saying only goes one way? It goes two ways. It's a two-way street.
If life is not a two-way street, neither is spring.
Life is a highway. Life is a highway.
And I'm going to ride it all night long.
Right. Very good. Okay, hold on a minute. There goes the ding. One way? No, it's not. That's what the smartest one. It's not.
High five, baby.
It's not one way. It's.
Booyah.
Hold on a minute. Let me Google this. In like a lamb. In like a lamb. Hold on a minute.
Stings, don't it?
Okay, March weather. Hold on. What does it mean if March comes in like a lamb? Hold it said. March comes in like a lamb and goes out like a lion means the weather is very cold at the beginning of the part of the month, but the weather is warmer at the end of the month. It also is possible to just say in like a lion and out like a lamb. It's a shorter way to say the same thing. Who says?
Oh, was it validated by Wiki?
No, hold on a minute. March comes in. Not a groundhog, gonna snow Friday. Yeah, okay, so it goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Oh, honey.
It goes both ways.
Did you just get shot down?
Yeah, no, I've never get shot down.
Oh.
I can go
You're
into
taking it like a man. I'm so proud of you. Usually you're a 4-year-old boy.
What? Listen to you. Hey. I got a couple words for you. You ready for this?
No.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
You can't believe he said that, can you?
That must have been off his little teleprompter.
No, that was when he had libs. See, that's when he gets himself in trouble.
I know. Why don't they? He's probably going, look, I'm the president of the United States. If I want to go off camera or off topic, I can go off topic.
Trump was the same way. At least he said,
tangible things that made sense.
Well, he said funnier things, he said goofy stuff, because there were two Trumps. There was the teleprompter Trump, who was sort of like stiff, and then there was the off-script Trump, where he'd say practically anything. Hey, punch that guy. Remember when he was in St. Louis? They told the crowd to punch some guy. Remember that?
Is that why they're saying that he incited the whatever?
There are some people. If all of a sudden Trump showed up one day and he said, you know what? You know who I really am? And all of a sudden he turned around and he did like this crazy magic act, and he turned around and he was Jesus, and he turned around and he's Jesus. People go, oh my God, Trump's Jesus. There are some people who go like, I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm done. I'm done with Christianity.
That's true.
I'm done with Christianity.
If that happened, that would be true.
If
but
Trump is Jesus,
it will never happen.
I'm
so.
converting to Judaism or converting to whatever. I
was driving down the road on Highway 40, and their license plate said Jew for JC.
Well, that's an interesting thing because there are Jews that believe in it. No, I don't get in that because that's a complicated thing. I don't necessarily
It is
understand.
complicated.
I don't understand.
We
that.
don't need complications.
We can talk
We
about.
don't need no stinking complications.
We can talk about that
kind
of.
We can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff that's inappropriate.
Well, we can talk about this kind of stuff because Shelley's father was Jewish, and I grew up with a bunch. Well, actually, it's funny. I grew up.
Does that make me Jewish light?
No, it's just, but see, you're exposed to that. See, I had a girl that for a brief period of time in high school I dated who was Jewish, and I thought it was fascinating. I worked one of my best friends when I first got in the radio business, Jeff Andrew, was Jewish, and he sort of took me under his wing, and he took me to like synagogues and stuff like that. I met a lot of his friends who are all Jewish, and I have to tell you, I mean, I found the Jewish religion fascinating. I mean, to the point where, and it's interesting because you can show up, and I'm not making fun of Chris Heifel, but you can show up at Grace River Church today. You can walk in there and you say, Chris, I want to become a Christian. And bingo, boingo, bango, you're a Christian. They turn you into a Christian like that, right? On Sunday, he still does the deal where they do the baptisms, you know what I'm talking about? They baptize you as a Christian.
They have one baptism, and then multiple people do that. But
Right.
They don't have baptisms every weekend.
Well, but
no.
I was there when they baptized some people, okay? I saw it, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was probably their baptism day.
Right. But you don't do that when you become a Jew because you have to take all these classes. It's sort of like becoming a Catholic.
You kind of have to,
know
a little bit about what you're getting into.
No, you just show up and all of a sudden you're a Christian. Bango, bingo, bango, boingo.
Oh, if you go back and you talk to someone, then they put you on the path to become a Christian. It's not like, he doesn't twinkle his nose and then it happens. There's stuff that you do have to go through.
You mean like Sabrina? Was that her name in Bewitched? Sabrina?
No.
What was her name? What was her name in Bewitched? Would she twinkle her nose and things would happen?
I know. It wasn't Samantha.
Sabrina was her. Sabrina, I think, was
sister,
her
naughty sister.
Her naughty sister.
That
That's
would have
right.
been me.
That's right. Very good. Okay. I haven't watched TV Land Race. Boy, we're all over the place this morning. Okay.
It's your fault.
Did I say also Mike Otten's correct? Who made out like a bandit? Anybody who sold plexiglass during the COVID thing, right?
That's no lie.
Plexiglass everywhere. Have you noticed that the plexiglass is coming down in most of the places now? Most of the places have taken their plexiglass down. It's gone. I mean, God, where did all
places I frequent, it's still up.
the places I frequent still have their bulletproof glass there? So what does that tell you where I hang out, right?
That's funny.
Hey, my motto. You're going into a good
Your
club.
motto?
My motto is...
What's your motto?
About 3 pounds. Anyway, you're going into a good club. If you're going out clubbing at night, you have to go through metal detectors to get in. That's when you're going to a good club. Hold on a minute. I got to get back on track. I'm trying to rescue this show as it skids off the
I'm sorry, I was coughing.
The rails.
I couldn't respond.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay. I'll just go through a couple things here real quick. This is interesting. This is sort of interesting because remember I told you I had this goofy professor. My very first class at college. I can't remember this guy's name, but it was I can't remember what kind of class it was, kind of a history class or something like that. And all this guy did was rail on about how, and keep in mind, this is a long time ago that I went to college. A long time ago, because remember, I'm 87, okay? So do the math and figure I was in college probably 60, 70 years ago, okay? So my professor was fixated on this book called, what did I say, The Population Bomb? Remember talking about that? And the guy's still alive. The guy and his wife who wrote it, essentially what they wrote was they said that by the year 2000, the world is going to be in a worldwide famine. There will be too many people, overpopulation, and everybody would be dead because there wouldn't be enough food, and the population would expand to 45 billion or something like that. And
That's called natural selection.
Well, what's happened is just the opposite. And one of the problems that the Chinese are having is the population is going backwards. China's getting smaller. And what they're upset...
That's because they're into Japanese men and not necessarily women.
Huh? What? The Chinese women are...
I don't know if it's...
What are you talking about?
I think it's the Chinese, yes.
The Chinese women like Japanese men? Where did you come up with that?
Brad.
What?
I don't know. Never mind.
No, okay, but China...
Never mind. Blah, 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 blah.
The point of what I'm trying to say before Shelley threw in her little anecdotal information there is that
I mean,
China is starting to shrink. And what they're concerned about, right? They're prideful in the fact that right now they are the largest country in the world by population, and they're about to be number 2. And you know who's going to beat them?
Us?
India.
Really?
Yeah, India is to the point where India right now is number 2 in population, and at the growth rate of China, actually it's a negative growth rate for population, and India has a positive growth rate for population, and India right now is like not that far behind China. And the point of this is that, and it's sort of like what I say, it's a problem we have in the United States. The birth rate is a negative birth rate in the United States. Well, not negative, because they say, I think the statistics are
we just had a baby boom.
No, we did not.
We absolutely
did not.
You can't tell me that the COVID baby period...
Hey.
I bet you anything that was huge.
It's gotten so bad that the other day I drove down Ballas right there off of Highway 40.
And next to Mercy, the baby factory?
The Mercy, the baby factory. The nurses from the maternity unit were out there on a street with signs saying, hey, have some babies so we can get back to work. I mean, they're out there.
No, that's not what they were saying, because I lived through that COVID period.
They're out there.
As did my daughter, as did 5 of her friends.
But now, hold on a minute. Now, see, there's an interesting thing. There were people that predicted that since everybody was, quote unquote, staying home, that there was going to be this population explosion of babies. And there was. It didn't happen.
That's not true, Brad.
It didn't happen. You go back to this famous thing in population studies that I can't remember when this was, back in the 60s or 70s. I've read this story. I don't know how many times I've seen it, because they talk about it's a perfect example of what happens when, with crazy things with our population. Power outage population. No, in New York. And they had 9 months after they had this power outage where the entire city, they had this huge baby boom 9 months later. They had gazillion babies being born. Baby boom. Okay, let me find the story here. Here it is right here.
Because those who had the baby in 21.
Okay. Here, Philip Morgan, professor of sociology and demography at Duke University, who focuses on fertility, says it's an urban legend. He says there is no reason to believe that events like the August 14, 2003 blackout that impacted 55 million people led to a larger than average number of May 2004 babies. But that wasn't the one. This is the one. The blackout in 1965. The effect of the Great Blackout of 1965 on births in New York City. Talked about how here it says Mount Sinai Hospital, which averaged 11 births daily, had 28 births on Monday. Okay, this was 9 months. This was an article in a magazine, August of 1970. Electric power went out in New York City and much of the Northeast in the late afternoon, November 9th, 1965, and stayed out for up to 10 hours. On Wednesday, November 10th, 1965, the New York Times carried a banner headline. Page 1 said, power failure snarls Northeast. 800,000 are caught in subways here. Autos tied up. City gropes in dark. Light and power first went out at 5:27 New York City on the November 19th, 1965. Okay. On Wednesday, August 10th, 1966, also in the Times, a page one midsection headline announced, births up 9 months after the blackout. Under the signature of Martin Tolchum, the following story appeared. A sharp increase in births has been reported by several large hospitals here 9 months after the 1965 blackout. Mount Sinai Hospital, which averaged 11 births daily and 28 births on Monday, this was a record for the hospital. Its previous one-day high was 18. At Bellevue, there were 29 new babies in the nursery yesterday compared with 11 a week ago and an average of 20. Columbia Presbyterian averages 11 births daily and had 15 Monday. St. Vincent's averages 7, had 10. Brooksdale averages 10, had 14. And it goes on and on and on. 16 babies at Mount Sinai yesterday, 13 at Columbia Presbyterian, and 10 at St. Vincent's. Talks about all the different hospitals that had all the increased births 9 months after the power went out. I wonder what they were doing. Anyway.
Do you feel better?
I don't. 7:47. It is BS.Show, 7:52. It is a Wednesday morning, 1st of March. And, there's two sayings. March goes in like a lamb, goes out like a lion, goes in like a lion goes out like a lamb. That's the way it works.
Which is the correct one?
They're interchangeable because of the fact.
Where do you see that?
If it were a bad.
There is no place on the internet that you can tell me that that's at.
It's on KSOQ.co right now because I just put it up there. Okay. Okay, Mike Otten sent me something interesting to talk about population. And this is the source on this is a good source is the government, although lately I don't know if we trust anything the government says. Remember, they say if you thought the COVID virus came from a lab in Wuhan, you were a heretic because we all know it came from a bat. But now, do you know this? Yesterday, the director of the FBI went on an interview and said, yes, we have definitively proven that the COVID-19 virus came from a lab in Wuhan, China. They've
said that the whole time.
No, if you said that before, you got kicked off of Twitter. If you said,
yeah, that's true, but that's what they said.
God, you know what? This is so fascinating to me, having the two worthless journalism degrees, and how sad it's gotten to the point where it's what happened with the internet. If you say things like, hey, it's great to be transgender, people go, oh my God, the guy's so wonderful. But if you say, hey, it's terrible to be transgender, they kick you off the internet and they burn your house down. He's like, okay, no, hold on a minute now. I thought this was land of free speech. No, not anymore. Say what we want you to say. That's like China.
There's a lot of things that this world used to be that is not anymore.
Like we used to have good radio shows on 107.1, and then you and I came along, right? Okay.
You're such a smarty pants.
The statistics show, it talks about here, they're saying, I'll read you this. This article was written December 22nd, 2022. So it's only a little bit over 2 months old. After a historically low rate of change between 2020 and 2021, the U.S. resident population increased by 0.4%, or 1,256,000 people in 2022, according to the U.S. Census Bureau's vintage 2022 national and state population estimates. Now, here's what's interesting. They say the majority of the growth was, guess what? Immigration. Migration was what turned us into a positive natural change. Now, but here's the interesting thing. Positive natural change or negative natural change. Natural change is births minus deaths. So in other words, you have people who are being born, you have people dying, and if it's a positive natural change, then you have more people. And between 2021 and 2022, the positive change was only 245,000 people. So in other words, that meant that, like, let's say 1 million people were born and 750,000 people died. Essentially, that would give you like 250,000 positive natural change.
Lightning crashes.
Regional patterns. The South, the most populous region with a resident population of 128 million, was the fastest growing and largest gaining region last year, increasing by 1.1%. The West was only the other region to experience growth in 2022, having gained 153,000 residents. Annual percentage rate, blah, 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 blah. The Northeast with a population of 57 million and the Midwest with a population of 68 million. Declines in those regions were due to negative net domestic migration. Changes in state population increasing by, since July 20. Texas was the largest gaining state. Texas gained 500,000 people in a year. 500,000 people.
Because
470,000.
they felt safer there.
Largest gaining state of the region, reaching a total population of 30 million people in Texas. By crossing the 30 million population threshold this year, Texas joins California as the only states with a resident population above 30 million. Growth in Texas last year was fueled by gains from all three components: net domestic migration, net international migration, and natural increase. Florida was the fastest growing state in 2022 with an annual population increase of 1.9%, resulting in a total resident population of 22 million people. While Florida has often been amongst the largest gaining states, this was the first since 1957 that Florida has been the state with the largest percentage increase in population. Interesting. See, people are like water, okay? And no, seriously, people are like water. Water finds the path of least resistance. You know, if you have something that has water in it, you know where the leak is because of the fact that that's the path of least resistance. If you have a pipe that has a hole in it, guess what? That's where the leak comes out, because the least resistance to water is to just find a outlet. If you have a swimming pool that has a leak in it, you know, it flows through that leak. It's the same thing in your car. If you have a bad radiator hose, guess where the water's going to come out? Through that little tiny pinhole in your radiator hose. It's going to spray all over your engine, and your engine's going to burn up. See, people are like that too. Path of least resistance. And that's why the city of St. Louis, which once upon a time had almost 1 million people that lived in the city of St. Louis, it's now to, I believe, just a tad under 300,000 people. Once again, path of least resistance. If you have bad things that happen in a community, people move. If you have good things that happen, people move in. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why Florida is exploding. That's why Tennessee's exploding, because you don't have all the resistance. You don't have all the goofy regulations, all of the stupid, you know, I mean, and once again, the reason Texas, Florida, and Tennessee are gaining population is because, you know why that is? No state income tax. People are going like, okay, why should I work, you know, in New York City? I mean, like, I've heard that in certain tax brackets, if you work in New York City, your effective tax rate is like 54%. So for every dollar you make, you keep 46 cents and you give 54 cents to the government, both federal, state, local, the whole bit, you know? And what do they do for you? Well, here in the St. Louis area, they, you know, if you live in one of the certain areas, you get a nice recplex or something like that, right?
Yes, $7.58.
You want me to stop right now?
Well, you have like a millisecond to, nope, I was right, $7.59.
Okay, I will say, and I mean this sincerely, Shelley, I'm glad to hear you're doing better. I know you still got some healing to do. And I know the worst part of this was that you smashed that wall in your bathroom. Now you're going to have to spend thousands of dollars, you know, cleaning up that hole that you put your head through. But other than that,
you would have, as hard as I hit it, you would have thought I would have made a hole, but no.
Other than that, I'm glad to hear you're feeling better.
Thank you, Brad.
And today, the Chamber of Commerce meeting is again today at Christie's Banquet Hall, the Christie, and I'll see you there, okay?
Right. He didn't mean that, everyone.
Don't show up.
Have a great day, everybody. Happy hump day. Yeah.
Don't show up at
7:59.
Don't show up at the Y, okay? Just
yeah, I won't. Well, I might, because I need to go talk to Matt. But
yeah, okay. It's 7:59.
Peace and I fly.
Have you heard about Salt River Automotive? Not only are we open for business and ready to serve you, we are sponsors of the BS in the Morning Show on Westplex 107.1. Check us out on Facebook at Salt River Automotive LLC. See you soon.